Hi lit lovers! Today we are going to do the poem Mac Flecknoe, which was written by John Dryden and published in the year 1682. So John Dryden, as we know, he was a very important English poet, playwright, critic. He was in fact England's first official poet laureate in 1668. So to tell you a little bit of the background of the poem, Mac Flecknoe was written in the Restoration period. Restoration period was when the king rule, the monarch, returned with King Charles II, and all the poetry, drama, all such rose to popularity all over again. So in this period, this poem was written, and John Dryden, he played a very important role in shaping this era. So this poem is a satire. It shows rivalry between John Dryden and Thomas Shadwell. So John Dryden makes fun of Thomas Shadwell. He mocks him and showed him as a successor of Richard Flecknoe. So he kind of makes fun of both by saying that both their works are mediocre, repetitive, and quite bad, honestly. So he used humor to make fun of them in this poem. Now let's move to the summary. I have again divided the summary in 4 parts. It will be easy for you to remember. This poem has total 6 stanzas. So this poem talks about the kingdom of dullness. The kingdom of dullness, well, it's a made-up place where everything is boring, no one is creative, and who's the king of this dull land? He's Richard Flecknoe. So he rules over bad writers, terrible books, and he's extremely proud of how boring this kingdom is. So in the first part, he is looking for a successor. So the Flecknoe chooses Thomas Shadwell to take over as the next king of dullness, because he believes that no one is as good as being boring and bad at writing as Shadwell. So Flecknoe compares Shadwell with a tree with barren arms, which means that a tree that has no fruit is not useful. In the same way, what Shadwell writes is not useful and not interesting. So he also says that since Shadwell was young, he's always been born to be a bad writer. So in the second part, again, Shadwell is being praised by Flecknoe in a very sarcastic manner, where he says that he gives a fake, exaggerated speech while praising Shadwell. So in a way, it's kind of a mock epic. He says that Shadwell has all that right qualities to be the king of dullness, but all in a very funny and witty way. Flecknoe compares Shadwell to past bad writers, and he tells him that he's worse than them. This part of the poem is full of irony, as Flecknoe acts like he's complimenting Shadwell when he's really make fun of how terrible his writing is. So in the third part, this ceremony happens, this mock coronation of Shadwell, where Shadwell will be crowned as the new king of dullness. So this ceremony is described as like a very fancy, like a heroic almost event but in reality, everything is almost like funny and ridiculous. So in the city where Shadwell is going to be crowned, the city is called Nursery of Poetry. And you can tell by the name. It's a place where all the bad poetry is raised, like a plants in a garden. So this grand style of this part is funny because it makes something very silly, which is Shadwell becoming the king of bad writing, sound very important. So in the last part, the Flecknoe's final blessing happens. So Flecknoe gives Shadwell his last words of advice and blessings. He tells him that he will continue to spread dullness across the land, and he makes sure that bad writing stays popular. Flecknoe also says that Shadwell works will be like flaming meteors, meaning they might get attention for a moment, but then they will be quickly forgotten. So this final blessing is also funny and sarcastic and shows that Flecknoe believes that Shadwell writing will never have any real value. So now let's understand the style that is used in the poem Mac Flecknoe. So here, John Dryden uses this mock epic and satire to talk about bad writing. So he takes this serious style of epic poetry where he talks about king, successor, but he applies it to a very silly event of crowning someone as the king of dullness, which makes it funny because it seems important, but it's really just about a bad writer. So by using these styles, he tells of how uncreative Shadwell's writing is. So Dryden cleverly makes fun of bad literature, turning a very simple topic into a very entertaining poem that makes all of us think about why some poor writing gets all the attention. So this was all about the poem Mac Flecknoe. I hope you enjoyed this session with us. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us in the comments, and we'll see you next time.